My ex is coming to my birthday. She told me, it's my birthday, so you don't get a say. I just said, okay. Then she went ahead and invited his pregnant fiancée and ordered a birthday cake that did all the talking for me. She wanted attention, and she definitely got it. Hey Reddit. A while back, I went through something that started as a simple birthday party for my wife and turned into the most unforgettable night of my life for reasons everyone in that room will remember. I'm not here to rant, just to tell you how a few lies, some overconfidence, and a very specific cake turned what was supposed to be a mature conversation into the biggest wake-up call I've ever given anyone. I'm Martin, 29, and I've been married to Phoebe, who's 28, for 3 years. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that her birthday might as well be a national holiday. She treats it like an annual festival dedicated entirely to her existence. It involves weeks of planning, multiple outfit changes, and more drama than an awards show. I usually didn't mind. I like seeing her happy, and it gave me a reason to take a break from work and see family. This year, though, things were supposed to be simpler. Just a small get-together at my parents' house with some close friends. Dinner, cake, done. At least, that's what I thought until Tuesday night. I was in the kitchen making dinner, half listening to a reality show from the living room. Phoebe was on the couch scrolling through her phone, and she had that look she gets when she's about to drop a bomb she knows I won't like. You know the one, where she's trying way too hard to look casual. Out of nowhere she says, "Hey, by the way, Patrick is coming on Saturday. Be mature about it." I froze halfway through draining the pasta. "Patrick?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She didn't even look up. "Yeah, Patrick. My ex." I leaned on the counter, blinking slowly. "You mean your ex-boyfriend, Patrick? The same guy who used to send you flowers every week when we first started dating? That Patrick." She sighed like I was being dramatic. "He's just a friend now, Martin. Don't start." "I'm not starting," I said, my voice flat. "I'm just clarifying which Patrick we're talking about before I start preparing emotionally for your ex to be sitting next to my parents at dinner." That finally got her to look up. "You're being ridiculous. He's going through a breakup and I didn't want him to be alone. It's my birthday, not yours. Can you please just be mature about this?" There it was. Be mature about it. Her favorite line whenever she wanted to do something selfish and make me feel unreasonable for objecting. I crossed my arms. "And when exactly did you decide to invite him?" "Yesterday," she said, turning her eyes back to her phone. "I already talked to your mom about it. She said it was fine." That one hit me. My mom, who can't even handle a neighbor dropping by unannounced, was apparently cool with Phoebe's ex showing up to her house. "You talked to my mom before me?" I asked. She gave a little shrug. "You were at work, and I didn't think it was a big deal." "So it's just one person, right?" I said slowly. "Just one person you used to date?" She rolled her eyes and set her phone down. "You always blow things out of proportion. It's been years. We're just friends." "Yeah, because just friends always come to their ex's birthday party at her husband's parents' house," I muttered. "Martin," she snapped, "don't make this weird. I invited him out of kindness. You're always the one talking about empathy and decency, so maybe try practicing it." I stared at her, then laughed under my breath. "You're right. I should be more empathetic. Maybe next time I'll invite one of my exes to dinner. We can all compare notes." She shot me a glare. "You're acting like a child." I walked over, grabbed a plate, and started serving the pasta. "No, I'm acting like someone who doesn't love surprises that involve other men at my family's house." Phoebe crossed her arms. "I knew you'd react like this. That's why I asked your mom first." "Smart move," I said dryly. "That way, if I say no, I'm the jerk ruining everyone's fun." "Exactly," she said, completely missing the sarcasm. I sat down and handed her a plate. "Fine. If you want him there, I'll be mature about it. But don't expect me to babysit the situation." Her whole mood flipped instantly, like I'd passed a test. She smiled, grabbed her fork and said, "Thank you, babe. I knew you'd understand." I nodded once. "Oh, I understand perfectly." She thought I'd just roll over like I usually do, smile, nod, and play the mature husband. But I'm not the kind of guy who ignores patterns. You see something enough times, and you stop giving the benefit of the doubt. So yeah, I smiled and brushed it off that night, but inside something clicked. If she wanted Patrick at her birthday so badly, fine, he could come. But she was about to find out what maturity really looked like. And I wasn't planning on being the one who was embarrassed this time. The next few days felt like watching someone rehearse for a play. Phoebe went from her usual morning grump to Miss Sunshine overnight. She started wearing more makeup, dressed nicer even when she had nowhere to go, and spent half her time glued to her phone, giggling at texts I wasn't a part of. By Wednesday, she'd mentioned Patrick's name more times than I'd heard it in 3 years. "Oh, Patrick said he'll bring dessert." Or, "Patrick has the same music taste as my dad, it's so funny." Every mention had this smug tone, like she was daring me to react. I didn't take the bait. I just nodded and kept my cool, which probably annoyed her more than anything. See, Phoebe thrived on reactions. She loved winning little emotional battles, but I wasn't going to hand her another one. So around midnight, when she was finally asleep, I waited a good 20 minutes, just listening to her breathing even out. Then I picked up her phone from the nightstand. She'd switched to one of those cheap glitter cases that looked like something a high schooler would buy. Real subtle. She didn't have a password I didn't know. For a second, I almost felt guilty. Almost. Then I remembered her laughing into her pillow a few nights ago, calling me paranoid, and that guilt just evaporated. The first thing I opened was her messages. There it was, Patrick. No emojis, no hearts, but the thread was long enough to make my jaw clench. I opened it. It started casual, old jokes, memes, small talk. But then it shifted. "You were always the only one who really understood me. You were easier to talk to back then. Things were simpler. I miss what we had." Yeah, me too. Sometimes I think I made the wrong choice. I read that line 3 times. Wrong choice. That was me. Her husband. The wrong choice. There were more messages about how she wished she could go back, or how maybe in another life they'd have worked out. Nothing explicit, but every line screamed emotional cheating. She'd been building a little fantasy world with him behind my back, pretending to be his safe space. I emailed the entire conversation to myself from her phone, then deleted the sent mail, cleared the trash, private when 3 people are involved. Her mail app only showed local messages. You said you wanted transparency, so clearing those folders was enough. She'd never know. She said, I put her phone back exactly where it was and lay down. Dr. John, it's weird how once someone breaks your trust, separated everyone into different rooms, and you stop asking why, and the guy looked like he was going to pass out, muttering. The next morning, this can't be happening, humming while making under coffee, his breath, wearing my shirt like nothing would take about a week. Morning, we're sent home with instructions not to contact each other. Can you grab Susan later? Had to ride home with me because I'd blocked her car in at the Walgreens. Text she stood there fuming while I took my sweet time unlocking my voice even, adjusting my seat and checking my mirrors. Yeah. The entire drive home, like she ran through every manipulation for my birthday in the book. I almost laughed, yelling, guilt trips, threat. She had no idea how exciting it was actually going to get. For not trusting when she left for a salon appointment like she was the victim. I sat down at my laptop to see what Patrick was kept really my eyes on the road. His social media wasn't hard to find, showing me exactly the guy loved attention really as much as Phoebe did. When we got home, smiling straight to the bedroom, selfies, and slammed the door hard enough to rattle the frame. But what caught my eye was a photo I could hear her immediately on the phone. He was tagged with her mother but hadn't reposted it. Spinning the story, he was standing next to a woman with short brown hair. I went to the garage and called Robin. I clicked her profile. How'd it go? He asked. Her name was Kara. Perfect. And judging by her post, we've got she was about and 4 months pregnant as witnesses. There were ultrasound Susan pictures, on camera having a breakdown, comments and enough evidence for adultery and manipulation. Mama. Patrick wasn't going through a breakup. File for divorce tomorrow. He was about to become a dad. You want to control the staring at the screen. The first to
Phoebe
file
had looked
has
me
the
in the
advantage
face
and
said,
he
"Patrick
emailed me the
has no
paperwork,
one else."
and I filled
And
it
this
out that
idiot
night
was out
in the
here
garage.
posing in
I
maternity
listed the
photos.
grounds for divorce
kept
as
scrolling.
adultery. There was
Backed
another
with
picture of them
screenshots,
at a restaurant,
phone records,
car
hotel
glowing,
receipts,
Patrick
and
pretending
Emery's
to be
own
the
admission.
perfect fiancé.
I requested
full
fiancé.
ownership of the house.
I found
my
the ring
vehicles,
photo
my
from a few
retirement
months
accounts,
back.
and
The
all my
caption
tools.
said,
She
"Forever
could have her
starts here."
personal stuff.
So that's
in her
what she
car.
meant by
That's
simpler
it.
times.
No alimony.
She wanted to
A
play
clean
comfort
break.
therapist
Robin
for
filed
a
the
man
papers
who already
first
had
thing the
someone
next
expecting
morning.
his kid.
Susan was
I thought
served
about
at her
her
office
for a while.
at 2 p.m.
She
in
looked
front
happy.
of all her coworkers.
You could tell she was
She
proud
called
of
me
her little
17
family,
times in
probably
20 minutes.
thinking her man
I didn't
was loyal
answer
and
just
decent.
let each
That
desperate
kind of
message
trust hits
save
different
voicemail.
when you realize
She
how
came
easily
home at
it's
6
being
o'clock
tossed
and
aside.
threw the divorce
So I
papers
made a
at
new
me,
Instagram
scattering
account
them
with a
across
blank
the kitchen
profile
floor.
picture and a
What is
generic
this?
name. Something
does
no
it
one
look
would
like?
look at twice.
You're divorcing
Then I
me
typed out
over
a
one
message.
mistake?
Hey Kara,
Four
you
or
don't know
5
me,
mistakes
but
with
I think
Emery,
there's something
according
you should
to him.
see. I
I'm
corrected.
married to Phoebe,
plus the
Patrick's
conference
ex.
guy in March.
She invited him
Rick
to
from
her
the
birthday
Denver
party
office
this
right?
weekend.
So
He told
not
her
one
he's
mistake,
single and going
multiple
through a rough
conscious
time.
choices.
I thought you
The
should
look
know
on her
before
face
it gets
told me
worse.
she just confirmed
I sat
the
back in my
conference
chair
guy
without
and
meaning
watched the
to.
message status
She realized
change from
I'd been
sent to
gathering
seen.
evidence all
It
this
didn't
time.
take long for
She
the
switched
typing bubble
tactics
to
fast,
appear. Crying
Looks
and
like
begging,
Kara was awake,
promising to cut
and if
contact
my gut
with
was
Emery
right,
and
she
go
was
to
about to
counseling.
have a very
I'll do
interesting
anything,
conversation
she
with
pleaded.
her fiancé.
I told her I was leaving
leaned
for
back,
a run,
cracked
and that
my
I wanted her
knuckles, and
moved out
smiled
by
to
the
myself.
time I got back
Let
in
Phoebe
12
enjoy
days.
her birthday
She
prep.
argued that it
Let
was
her
her
post her
house,
selfies
too,
and
but I
order her
reminded
balloons.
her that her name
Because
wasn't
when Saturday
on the deed
came,
or the mortgage.
I wasn't just going
Maybe
to
you're
show
pregnant
up to
with
her
my
party.
kid. Maybe
I was
you're
going
not,
to change
I
the
said.
entire guest
Either
list.
way, you've
It
got
didn't
12
take
days
long.
to pack your stuff
Maybe
and
10
leave.
minutes after
I loaded
hit
up the
send,
truck and
my
left
phone
without
buzzed
looking
with a
back.
message request.
I was 5
Who
days
is
into
this?
a run.
What do you
Somewhere
mean
between
invited?
Flagstaff and
He
Phoenix.
said he's working
when Dr.
this
John's
weekend.
office called.
So that was quick.
The DNA results
I took a
were
breath,
ready.
reminded
I
myself
pulled off
to keep
at a
it
rest
calm and
stop
factual,
to take the call.
and replied.
They asked
I
if
get
I
it's
could
weird
come in,
hearing from a
but
stranger,
I told them I was in
but I'm
Arizona.
not lying.
They insisted
My wife
it was
invited
policy
him
to
to her
deliver
birthday
results
party.
in person.
I thought
and
you
then
should
the
know
nurse
before
added,
he shows up.
there are
pretending
some
otherwise.
complications. The
My
typing
stomach
bubble
dropped.
appeared,
She
disappeared,
couldn't discuss
and
it
came
over
back.
the phone.
You
but
could
urged
almost
me to
feel
come
the
in
hesitation
as soon as
through
possible.
the screen. I
A
turned
few
the truck
minutes
around right
passed
before she responded
called my
again.
dispatcher about
It
a
turned
family
out Kara
emergency
still had his
and
iCloud
drove
logged
straight
in
through
on an
for
old
18
iPad,
hours to get
and
home.
everything synced
Susan
automatically.
had moved out,
She
just
had
like
seen
I
the
asked,
same messages
but she'd
I had.
taken furniture
Her
that
reply
wasn't
was
hers.
just 3 words. The couch,
Oh my
the
God.
dining table.
You could
my
tell she was
65-inch
just staring
TV,
at her screen,
even the KitchenAid
trying to
mixer.
process what
She'd
she
left
was seeing.
passive-aggressive
Then another
notes and
message
lipstick
came.
on the mirror
I'm
and
4
fridge.
months pregnant
I
with a
didn't
boy.
care. Stuff
He's
can
been
be
acting
replaced.
distant for weeks,
My peace of
saying
mind
he was
couldn't.
swamped with
I
work.
met Dr. John
Now it
at
all
her
makes
office
sense.
the next morning.
I just stared
She
at
had that
for a
look
second.
doctors get
For
when
months
they're about
pregnant.
to deliver complicated
I'm sorry,
news.
I wrote back.
The results are
You didn't
unusual,
deserve that.
she started.
None of this
You
is
are
on
not
you.
the biological
I feel
father.
so stupid,
I
she
nodded.
replied.
That's what I
He
expected.
told me his ex ruined
Then
him.
she continued
That she left him
Mr.
for some
Delgado
loser
is
who
also
probably
not the
couldn't keep up with
biological
her.
father.
Well,
I was
that
stunned.
loser was
Wait,
apparently
what?
me.
I
Neither
almost
of you
laughed.
are the father.
The guy was rewriting
DNA
history
testing
like a bad
revealed
movie
a third
script.
party.
If it
There
helps,
was a third guy.
I texted back.
She handed
The
me the
loser
printed
is
results,
sitting right here,
and it was all
paying
there
for the
in
house
black
she
and
decorated
white.
while
I
she's
was
texting your
excluded.
fiancé.
Emery was
There was a
excluded.
pause. The
Then
actual
she
biological
wrote, "You sound
father
calm.
was unknown.
How are you not
I just
losing
stared
it?
at the papers.
Because losing
After
it
all
doesn't
that drama
fix
and
anything,
planning,
I said.
the kid wasn't
I'd
mine
rather
or
handle it
Emery's.
right.
It was some
She
mystery
sent a
guy.
small, fair
How many
enough
men
emoji.
had she been seeing?
Then a longer message
Then
came
Dr. John
through.
told me the
I
final
just don't
piece.
get it. There's
We
one
were
more
planning
thing.
the nursery
When
last
we
week.
ran your wife's
He
blood
seemed
work,
happy. We
I
discovered
knew he was
she's not
distracted
currently
lately,
pregnant,
but I thought
she
it
had
was
what's
stress.
called a chemical
Now
pregnancy.
I know it was her.
A very early
He's a coward.
miscarriage.
I
The
typed
pregnancy
back.
ended
When
within
men
the
like
first
first few weeks.
They reach
The hormones
for
were
nostalgia.
still in her system.
It's easier
when she
to chase
tested
the
positive
than face
but there
what
is
they've
no
built.
ongoing pregnancy.
She didn't reply right
so
away.
there was no baby.
After a minute,
the
her
DNA
next
they
message
tested was
"What
from
are
a
you going to
pregnancy
do?"
that was already
That was
gone.
when I started
The
really
DNA
planning.
was still in her
We
system.
moved to regular
when they took her
texting
blood.
after that.
That's how
It
they
was
figured
easier
out
to
the
talk
baby
without
wasn't
switching
mine,
app.
or
Her
anyone
tone
else she
shifted a
pointed
bit,
a finger at.
still angry,
The pregnancy
but
had
steadier.
already ended.
You could tell
by then.
she'd gone from
So
shock
let me
to
get this
problem-solving mode.
Susan
and I
got
respected
pregnant
that.
by some random
We talked
guy,
for
lost
almost
the
an
baby
hour.
before any
I
test
asked
could
about
happen,
her pregnancy,
but not before
mostly
putting me
to
through
distract
weeks
her
of
from
hell.
the mess.
Not
She
before
said it
her
hadn't
affair
been
came
easy.
to light.
Morning
Not
sickness,
before I filed
anxiety,
for
the
divorce
usual.
and changed the lock.
She'd been trying to
She
hold
blew up
everything
our entire
together
life
while
for a
Patrick was
pregnancy
working
that
late
didn't even
every
last.
other night.
And I
What a
got to
jerk.
be the lucky
Late,
one
huh?
holding the proof, I said. I asked
Probably
for copies,
just enough
and
time
the doctor
to text
printed it
Phoebe
all,
about simpler
every
times.
test result, every
She
lab
asked
report,
what kind of
all
party it
signed
was,
and stamped.
and when I told
it
her
showed
it was
3
my
different
wife's
men
birthday,
had been tested,
she laughed dryly.
and none were a match for the baby's
He
DNA.
loves
making everything about him. Showing up at her birthday is exactly his kind of stupid. Then she added, "You know what's crazy? When we first started dating, he told me she was controlling and insecure. Said she dumped him because she thought he'd never be successful. Now he's crawling back to her like a lost dog." It didn't surprise me. I'd seen the same type before. The guys who blame everyone but themselves, who rewrite breakups so they can feel like the victim. We kept texting, trading bits of info. Kara sent a few screenshots proving he'd told her this weekend was for a work team bonding event. He even said he might have spotty reception. I laughed. Spotty reception at a party with a full buffet and balloons. By the end of the conversation, she was quiet for a bit. Then she sent, "You're planning something, aren't you? Let's just say her party's about to get a surprise guest." "You're inviting me?" "I'm giving you an opportunity," I said. "He thinks he's spending the weekend charming his ex behind your back. I think he should meet his fiancée's spine instead." There was a long pause. Then, "You know what? I'm in. He can deal with both of us. I don't care if it's awkward. I'm done protecting his image." I grinned at my phone. This woman was tougher than I expected. "Good," I said. "We'll do it clean. No screaming, no chaos. Just facts." She sent one more text before we ended the chat for the night. "I want the truth to hit him where it hurts. Not loud, just final." That sentence stuck with me. It was the kind of revenge that didn't need shouting, just timing. Later that night, I sat at the kitchen counter thinking. Phoebe wanted a cake, and I'd told her I'd handle it. I opened my laptop, searched for a bakery, and an idea started forming in my head. It was half genius, half evil, a gender reveal cake. Patrick was about to become a father, and Phoebe didn't even know. The irony was too perfect. I could already picture the confusion on her face, the panic on his. I typed in the order details: white frosting, blue filling, with the words written clearly on top, "It's a boy." When the confirmation email came through, I felt a small smile creep across my face. Let them play their little nostalgia games. Let them think they're in control. Because in a few days, that cake wasn't just going to reveal a baby's gender. It was going to reveal exactly what kind of people they really were. The next morning, Phoebe was on a mission. She woke up humming before sunrise like she was running a wedding, not a birthday party. She had her planner open, a pen behind her ear, and a phone call on speaker. The only thing louder than her playlist was her ego. "I just want everything perfect," she said, pacing around the kitchen. "Patrick said he'll come early to help set up. He's so thoughtful like that." Thoughtful? That word almost made me laugh. I just nodded while sipping my coffee, pretending to scroll on my phone. "Yeah, he's a real gem," I said under my breath. "What?" she asked. "Nothing," I said, smiling. "Just thinking how lucky you are to have such considerate friends." She smiled like I'd given her a compliment. It was almost impressive how easy it was to fool her once I stopped showing any emotion. She went on about balloons, playlists, candles, the usual chaos. Meanwhile, my phone buzzed quietly in my pocket. A message from Kara. "Are you sure about tomorrow? I've been thinking about it, and I don't know if I can face him." I excused myself to check the mail and stepped outside. The morning air helped clear my head. I typed back, "You don't have to do anything dramatic. Just walk in, see the truth, and leave. I'll handle the rest." "He's going to deny everything," she replied. "That's what he does. He can deny all he wants," I wrote. "But denial doesn't work well when the evidence is sitting next to a cake that says, 'It's a boy.'" There was a long pause. Then, "Okay, I'll come. I'll be there at 5:30. "Good," I said. "I'll make sure you're walking into a show worth seeing." After that, I headed over to my parents' house, where the party was being held. Less stress, they'd said. I knocked once and stepped in. My mom was at the dining table polishing the good dishes. My sister, Lauren, was helping, looking suspiciously entertained. Hey, I said, closing the door behind me. We need to talk before the circus starts. They both froze. That serious? My mom asked. Serious enough, I said, pulling out my phone. I opened the screenshots folder and slid it across the table. Lauren was the first to react. Oh my God, she's been texting him like this? My mom frowned, scrolling through each message. You mean the Patrick she invited? The one and only, I said. Apparently, he's been her emotional support system while also lying to his pregnant fiancée. My mom set the phone down, rubbing her forehead. Why are you telling me this now? Because you're about to host a party that's going to get messy, I said flatly. I wanted you to be prepared. Don't try to stop it. Just let it play out. Lauren looked way too excited for someone hearing about betrayal. You're planning something, aren't you? Let's just say her cake isn't what she thinks it is. She grinned. You need someone to record? Already ahead of you, I said, smirking. You'll know when to hit record. My mom looked worried. Martin, are you sure this is wise? Maybe handle it privately. Mom, I interrupted gently. If she wanted privacy, she wouldn't have brought her ex to my family's house. I'm just matching her energy. Lauren laughed. This is going to be legendary. I gave her a look. Don't cheer too loud during the chaos. By the time I got home, Phoebe was on another phone call, and this time I didn't need to guess who it was. She was standing by the window, whispering. Yeah, I can't wait to see you too, she said softly. Just try to come before everyone else. It'll be nice to talk before things get busy. I leaned quietly against the hallway wall, phone recording in my hand. I got it all, her tone, the pause, the little giggle after she said goodbye. When she hung up and turned around, I was in the doorway. Everything good? I asked casually. She jumped a little. Yeah, just my friend about the decorations. Friend. I repeated with a nod. Got it. She smiled like nothing had happened. You picked up the cake, right? Not yet, I said. It's a surprise cake. You'll love it. Oh, a surprise? She asked, her eyes lighting up. What kind of surprise? I shrugged. Something special. I even invited a guest to help deliver it. Her face softened, curiosity all over it. Really? Who? You'll see, I said, grabbing my keys. Thought it would make the night more memorable. She grinned, clearly imagining some celebrity friend or a distant relative she liked. You're being so sweet lately, she said. I smiled back. You have no idea. That night, after she went to bed, I sat in the living room scrolling through my note. I had the screenshots, the voice recording, and Kara's confirmation text. Every piece of the puzzle was ready. I texted Kara one last time, then closed my phone and leaned back on the couch, staring at the ceiling. The house was silent, except for the soft sound of Phoebe's phone buzzing in the other room. Probably more sweet nothings from Patrick. Tomorrow she'd get her wish, a birthday surrounded by people she cared about. Music, food, attention, all eyes on her. Exactly how she liked it. Except this time, the spotlight wasn't going to flatter her. It was going to burn. I looked at the boxed cake receipt sitting on the counter, the one labeled, "It's a boy," and smiled to myself. Let her think it's someone famous, I said quietly. She'll find out soon enough who the real surprise is. Saturday came fast. By the time we reached my parents' house, Phoebe was already in full commander mode. She was running around giving orders to my mom and sister like she was directing a Broadway show. Martin, did you pick up the cake? She called out, adjusting her new dress in the hallway mirror. On my way, I said, grabbing my keys. She smiled, fixing her earrings. Don't mess it up, please. This cake is important. I wouldn't dream of it, I said. I picked it up and checked the top before leaving. "It's a boy" was written in neat blue icing. Perfect. When I got back, the house was buzzing. Family, friends, co-workers, everyone crammed in. The music was loud, the laughter was louder. Phoebe was in her element, soaking in every compliment about her dress, her decorations, her radiant glow. She wasn't glowing, she was oblivious. Patrick hadn't shown up yet, but I knew he would. Guys like him love making an entrance. I placed the cake on the kitchen counter and joined my dad in the corner, who leaned over and whispered, "This is going to be something, isn't it?" I just smiled and told her, "You'll see." And right on cue, the doorbell rang. I opened the door and there he was, Patrick. He looked exactly like the kind of guy who thinks mirrors are his best friend. Fresh haircut, new jacket, holding a shiny gift bag and a box of cupcakes like he was some kind of Santa Claus for adult. He hit me with his best fake smile and said, "Hey man, thanks for having me." I just said, "No problem," and waved him in. "Come on in, everyone's waiting." The second he stepped inside, Phoebe just lit up. I mean, she was beaming. She ran over, gave him a hug that lasted a beat too long, and laughed a little too hard at everything he said. You didn't have to be a genius to see what was happening. My mom was wearing this polite smile that was doing some serious emotional heavy lifting. Patrick started working the room, shaking hands and complimenting the decorations like he was the one who owned the place, with Phoebe following him around like a personal spotlight. When it was time for cake, I stepped in. "All right, everyone," I said, clapping my hands. "Let's do the cake." Phoebe practically floated to the center of the room. "Finally," she said, beaming. "I've been waiting all day for this." I just looked at her and said, "Trust me." "So have I." My mom dimmed the lights and everyone gathered around as I brought the cake in. When I opened the box, the room erupted in claps and cheers for a moment. Then Phoebe leaned in to read the writing. Her smile just vanished. "It's a boy," she read slowly, squinting at the frosting. "What is that supposed to mean?" People started looking at each other, confused. My sister had her phone up, pretending to film the candles, but she was really just waiting for the chaos to start. Before Phoebe could say anything else, the front door opened. Every single head turned. It was Kara. She stepped inside, holding a small wrapped gift in one hand and resting the other gently on her stomach. Phoebe just blinked, completely lost. Patrick's smile froze and the color drained from his face. The room went dead silent. "Sorry I'm late," Kara said, her voice soft and eerily calm. "Had trouble finding parking." Phoebe looked from her to me, and then back at Patrick. Who is that?" I smiled, put down the cake knife and said, "That is Patrick's fiancée. And apparently, the mother of his child." The reaction was instant. Patrick's jaw dropped. Phoebe stumbled back like she'd been slapped. Kara just set her gift down on the table next to the cake. "You told me you were at a work celebration," she said to Patrick, her voice still perfectly even. "I didn't realize the job title was ex-girlfriend's emotional support animal." Patrick started stuttering, holding his hands out. "Kara, it's not what it looks like." "Oh, it's exactly what it looks like," she said, stepping closer. "I've seen the messages. The midnight texts, the miss you note. You forgot to clear the cloud, genius." A few people let out awkward, nervous chuckles. Someone in the corner whispered, "Oh my God." Phoebe turned bright red. "Wait, this is insane." "No." Kara cut her off. "What's insane is you texting someone else's fiancé about how you made the wrong choice." Phoebe's voice cracked. "You went through my messages?" Kara didn't even flinch. "No. Your husband did." Suddenly, every single pair of eyes in the room was on me. I just shrugged. "Hey, I like transparency." Patrick was starting to sweat. "Kara, please, can we talk outside?" "No," she said, firm and final. "You've done enough talking. I just came to make sure she knew what kind of man she invited." He ran a hand through his hair, panicking. "You don't understand." "No," she said. "I understand perfectly. You're a liar. You're a coward. And you're not coming home." And with that, she turned and walked out. No screaming, no drama, just a quiet, absolute finality. The door closed behind her. Patrick stood there frozen for a few seconds, then muttered, "I can't do this," and walked right out after her. No goodbye, no apology. Just gone. The silence he left behind was heavy. Phoebe's eyes were wide, her hands shaking. "You set me up," she said, her voice weak. I tilted my head. "No, you set yourself up. I just handled the catering." She looked around the room and realized everyone had just witnessed her entire world fall apart. Her perfect birthday ruined in real time. I picked up a plate, cut myself a slice of the cake, and took a bite. "Not bad," I said. "Want some?" She glared at me, tears welling up in her eyes. "You humiliated me." I nodded. "Yeah. But technically, you started it when you invited your ex to your birthday. Not a very smart move, Phoebe." She didn't say anything back. She just stood there, frozen, trying to figure out if there was any way to salvage even a shred of her dignity. There wasn't. I put the plate down and straightened up. "Happy birthday," I said quietly. Behind me, I heard my sister whisper, "That was better than TV." And for once, I had to agree. By the time the last guest had left, the house looked like a battlefield after a parade. My mom and sister had escaped to the backyard, claiming they needed fresh air. I didn't blame them. Phoebe was still standing in the middle of the room, staring at the ruined cake like it was a crime scene. And then she just snapped. "You ruined my birthday!" she screamed, her voice echoing through the house. I stayed calm, just leaning against the counter. "You ruined your own birthday," I said evenly. "I just provided the cake." She grabbed a handful of frosting and hurled it at the wall. It splattered, blue and white streaks sliding down like some kind of confetti from hell. Then she grabbed the entire cake stand and threw it onto the floor. The smash echoed and frosting went everywhere. "Are you happy now?" she yelled. "You made a fool out of me in front of everyone. You embarrassed me." I crossed my arms. "No, you embarrassed yourself. I just gave everyone a front row seat." She was pacing now, her hands flying everywhere. "You planned this. You invited her here to humiliate me." "You invited him here," I reminded her. "Remember that part? The be mature speech? You wanted to play games. You just didn't expect someone else to know the rules better than you." "Don't talk to me like that," she snapped. "I'll talk to you however I want in my parents' house," I said. "And speaking of that," I walked over to the corner where I'd set something aside earlier. It was a small, neatly wrapped box with silver paper and a simple bow. I picked it up and handed it to her. She glared at it. "What is that supposed to be?" "A gift. I figured I shouldn't be completely heartless tonight," I said. She hesitated, still breathing hard. "After what you did, you think a gift fixes this?" "It won't fix it," I said with a shrug. "But it'll make things clearer." So she ripped the wrapping paper open, tearing through it like she was attacking the problem itself. When she lifted the lid, she froze. Inside was a manila envelope. She pulled it out slowly, her confusion turning to pure disbelief as she saw the header. "Divorce papers," I said quietly. Her eyes went wide. "You're serious?" "Very," I said. "I emailed my lawyer on Wednesday. He overnighted the draft. You can sign them when you're ready. Or not. It doesn't matter. But this, it's over." Her lip trembled, her rage switching over to shock. "You can't just decide that." "I can," I said. And I did. My sister Lauren must have heard the yelling because she reappeared in the hallway, phone in hand, recording again. I shot her a look, but she just mouthed evidence. Phoebe noticed and pointed. "Are you filming me?" Lauren gave a faint smile. "Family memories." Phoebe let out a frustrated cry, grabbed her purse and shouted, "You're both insane!" as she stormed toward the door. "You'll regret this," she hissed at me. "Doubt it," I said. She glared one last time before storming out. The front door slammed so hard a picture frame rattled right off the wall. And then, it was just me, the mess, and the faint smell of vanilla frosting. After she was gone, I grabbed a towel and started cleaning the frosting off the wall. The blue streaks smeared into the white, like I was erasing a bad memory. My phone buzzed on the counter. 17 new messages, all from Phoebe. I didn't even have to open them to guess what they said. Angry, blaming, apologizing, begging, the usual cycle. I scrolled just enough to confirm. You're evil. You made me look crazy. Can we talk, please? I didn't mean for it to go this far. Martin, answer me. Please, just talk to me. I typed back one single reply. Talk to my lawyer. Then I muted her. By the next morning, she'd stopped texting, at least for the time being. The silence felt foreign, but it was good. It was the kind of peace you don't realize you've been missing until it finally shows up. A few days later, while I was at work, I got a message from Kara. Hey, just wanted to say thank you again. I left him for good, staying with my parents for now, focusing on the baby. I leaned back in my chair and let out a long breath. You don't owe me thanks, I replied. You just did what needed to be done. That night, I met with my lawyer officially. He went over the paperwork, asked a few routine questions, and looked genuinely impressed when I handed over all the evidence. You kept everything clean, he said. Screenshots, recordings. It's airtight. This should move fast. Good, I said. The sooner it's done, the better. He nodded. You're sure you don't want to give her time to cool off? She's had 3 years to mature, I said. Cooling off won't help. He chuckled and closed the file. Fair enough. For the first time since the whole thing began, I felt myself smile. It wasn't joy, exactly. It was more like relief. The kind that washes over you when you finally stop holding your breath. Phoebe wanted a night she'd never forget. Well, she got it. And me? I got something better. I got peace. 2 months later, that peace was still there. The divorce was almost finalized, and Phoebe hadn't fought me on a single thing. Not one argument, not one counteroffer. Her lawyer called mine once to say she just wanted it over with. I figured she was too embarrassed to drag it out publicly. I got 60% of the assets without a fight. The apartment, my car, most of the savings. She took a few personal things. Her clothes, some jewelry, a few pieces of furniture she'd picked out, and she left quietly. Honestly, I didn't even care about the stuff. I just wanted her gone. The news spread faster than I thought it would. My sister Lauren mentioned that our family group chat had been blowing up constantly since the party. Phoebe's outburst had apparently made her a minor celebrity in our circle, the birthday girl who got a gender reveal of her own. Even her co-workers started keeping their distance. Nobody wants to be associated with a scandal, I guess. Lauren told me one of them posted a vague quote on Instagram about some people loving the spotlight until it burns them, and everyone knew exactly who it was about. Patrick, however, didn't seem to get the message. He spent the next week trying to contact Kara, calling and texting, even sending flowers to her parents' house. She blocked him on everything. Lauren said he'd been spotted at a local bar a few times, looking completely wrecked and telling anyone who would listen how he'd lost everything. I didn't feel an ounce of pity for him. He didn't lose everything. He just lost his grip on the people he could control. Kara stayed in touch with me a little, just casual texts here and there to let me know how she was doing. She'd moved back in with her parents and was focusing on her baby, putting her life back together piece by piece. She sounded different, calmer and more sure of herself. Then one afternoon, she messaged me asking if I wanted to meet for coffee while she was in town for a doctor's appointment. I agreed. It wasn't because I wanted anything from her, but because it felt like the right thing to do, a quiet way for both of us to find some closure. We met at this little downtown cafe with brick walls and soft music playing. I saw her right away, sitting by the window. She looked different, softer somehow, but there was a peace about her that I remembered. She had one hand resting gently on her baby bump, like she was protecting something precious. Before she left, she handed me a small envelope. "What's this?" I asked. She just smiled and said, "It's a sonogram. Figured you earned a look. You're the reason this kid's mom finally got her head on straight." I looked at the blurry little image, the tiny outlines of hands and feet, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I felt a knot of tension in my chest finally come undone. "Thanks," I said, my voice quiet. She stood up, put on her coat, and gave me a warm smile. "Take care of yourself, Martin. And don't ever stop trusting your gut. You're better at reading people than you give yourself credit for." After she left, I walked over to the last box of Phoebe's things still sitting in the corner. Some old decorations, a sweater, a few photos. I carried it outside, dropped it by the trash bins, and didn't bother looking back. That chapter of my life was finally, definitively closed. There was no big scene, no dramatic goodbye, just a clean and quiet ending. A few days later, my lawyer emailed to confirm that the final divorce paperwork was ready. Everything was signed and settled. I signed my copy and sent it back without a second thought. I closed my laptop, leaned back in my chair, and let out a long, deep breath. The last year had been a complete circus, but now it was finally over. I didn't miss the marriage. I didn't miss the constant arguments, the forced smiles, or the pretending. I didn't even miss the comfort of it. The only thing I had missed was my own peace, and I realized I already had it back. As I stood there looking at the empty space on the counter where her perfume bottles used to be, I caught my own reflection in the window, calm, collected, and finally free. She wanted a birthday she'd never forget, I thought to myself, a grin spreading across my face. I guess she got exactly what she asked for. Blue frosting and all.